Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Sunday Live. How is everybody doing? This is my first Sunday back in a while. I'm just returning from a month-long trip with lots of grid work adventures. We went to Mount Shasta, we went to Montana, we went to Canada, and had some incredible encounters with all sorts of different types of spiritual beings and all sorts of just exciting things that I want to share with you guys. But how is everybody doing today? I'd like to share a couple updates and some recent messages that I've received about kind of what's going on right now in the world. And then I'd like to dive into some of my experiences and some of the footage from these very high energetic and portal sites that I have been visiting. And I've got some incredible footage for you guys, which the footage will also be incredibly activating for you. It has codes. The camera can capture these codes and help activate you. So how's everybody doing? It's nice to be back home. I think it was about 30 days on the road. I had 2 Mount Shasta retreats. That's how we kind of kicked it off in Mount Shasta. I'll talk a little bit about that, but that's like a major intergalactic portal and gateway, a very mystical place where the veil is very, very thin. So we had some very interesting experiences there, and that is known for being the home to Telos, which is an inner earth city underneath of Mount Shasta. So this is my 3rd year going there, and each time it just keeps building off of the next. It's like home to the ascended master. Saint Germain has been spotted there, like in the flesh, and our earth beings, Telosians. There's ships literally like every single night. It is a very busy place, as is Sedona, where I live, where I just moved to. Both in the United States, some of the most highly energetic sites and portal sites, intergalactic kind of portals, or I don't know what you would want to call that, like interdimensional highway that you can visit here in the United States. So I'm excited to dive into that with you guys. Yeah, and this is my 2nd time going to Canada. The first time was before my big awakening, so it was really interesting going up there and experiencing it with new eyes. And I'm going to share some pictures with you guys. It's absolutely stunning. So hello to my Canadian brothers and sisters. We went to Alberta specifically. There was a lot of Sasquatch up there, and it's very much like Lord of the Rings vibes. It's very, very mystical. It's incredible, very beautiful. It's really surreal, actually. Yeah, you definitely have to go to Mount Shasta. Hey, Leah. Leah was on the retreat. Hello, everybody. Yeah, it's good to be back. Yeah, I'm super excited to share some of the pictures. We were also able to capture some really incredible light anomalies and things that can show up on camera that you can't necessarily see with your own eyes. So super excited about that. I wanted to share just a couple kind of updates with you guys first. A really interesting dream that I had the other day. So this is going to kind of some alliance updates, if you will, before we dive into these crazy grid work adventures. Let's see. The dream was pretty incredible. Well, where did I put it now? Mount Shasta downloads. Here we go. So this is pertaining to the world stage. So I believe that we're about to have another massive wave of awakening and another massive wave of even disclosure. And we're already starting to see that coming out. And it kind of rolls out. Sometimes it can be kind of hidden, like you really have to look for it. They just kind of slip things out. But I believe we're about to go through a really big wave. And in this dream that I had, this was on 8/8. It was either on the Lions Gate or it was the day prior. And I was on a cruise ship in this dream where it was just a few of us. It was like kind of like a little family unit, and Mr. T was there. Trump was there, and a couple other girls around my age. But it was a very, very small group on this cruise ship, kind of like a family thing. It was interesting. We were on this massive cruise ship, and we were just a small unit. We were somewhere cold because there was a lot of snow. And I sat down and had a meeting with Mr. T in this dream where it was just me and him sitting down, and I was telling him, like, I was kind of planting seeds, like, okay, you know how I take pictures and capture these UFOs on camera and all of that. This is really important. Like, we need to start putting this more towards the forefront. Like, you really need to look at this disclosure, beings, other dimensional beings, that we are not the only ones in the galaxy, all of that. And he was pretty receptive to it. So that was really interesting. So I had a meeting with Trump in this dream, and then right after that, I looked down, and in the snow, I saw the letter K, which many of you guys, if you have been on my channel for a little while, you've probably heard of my inner earth contact, K. She works with the Alliance. She has a really important position and is really helping towards the awakening of the planet. She's kind of mysterious. But I saw the letter K. And then telepathically, I told her whenever I saw this K, you need to give us something. We need to see some more movement here. And then I saw two F-117s show up, and so they started dancing around the ship right above our heads. And then I was like, okay, that's awesome, but those aren't UFOs. Like, we need like a mass sighting. We need something. And then whenever they cleared, a massive boomerang flew through the sky and then landed in the water, right, and went right up against the ship, the cruise ship. And it was like a big nod of approval, I felt. And then over the intercoms on this cruise ship, I heard rerouting for Guantanamo Bay. And it was like we had been approved, like humanity was ready enough, our consciousness, our frequency, for the next stage in disclosure. And it's like, it's very interesting that in this dream, or this training module, or metaphor, whatever you want to call it, there was definitely much more to it than a dream. I found it really interesting that we were rerouting for Guantanamo Bay specifically. And it felt like we were going there to unlock a bunch of secrets and share that with the world. So I thought that was really interesting. And then I heard approved, now entering the next phase. We were heading there to learn and reveal the secrets. So upon waking from this dream, I asked for clarification on some things. Why hadn't T disclosed certain things yet? They replied priorities. What have been his priorities? Safety and security, which I think from the deep state, making sure it was safe to knock out, being able to knock out some of these control mechanisms to where it would allow us to reach and safely reach the next phase. It's a lot. It's very, very complicated, can be very complicated. So safety and security. And I asked, are we safe and secure? Yes. Now we can proceed on to the next phase. And I thought that was really interesting. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. So that was just recently. And then I want to share with you guys a post, which I find really interesting, because the Alliance has been sharing that basically, in order to know your future and to continue, you have to remember your past. That's a lot of the messages I've been getting recently have been about our hidden history, because there's so much there starting to come to the surface so that we can remember. That's what this is about. We are on a remembering journey. And a lot of our history has been hidden or manipulated. So I'm going to share this, and then we will move on to these crazy adventures. Okay, let's see. So T sends a letter to the Smithsonian, internal review of Smithsonian Exhibit and materials. So they're going to be reviewing their archives, essentially. And the Smithsonian is known for taking a lot of these things like giant bones and who knows what else and hiding them and just lying about them and saying, oh, no, we don't have that. Those don't exist. Because uh, that changes our history. That helps us to remember who we are and that we've actually been on this planet for a very, very long time. Things have just been completely erased. So really interesting. I think that's a really big step and lines up with a lot of the other messages I've been getting. So I was hearing not too long ago that more information on like Jesus and who he was going to be coming to the surface and things like that. I can't remember what else. Giants, I feel, and other things like that. So really interesting. And that happened. Oh, my dream actually happened the day that T took federal control of DC. And I didn't realize that because I didn't have phone service. So I just wanted to share some of those quick updates with you guys. And also in other news, moving away from the political scape, we've got the Schumann has been going nuts. This is from a few days ago, but then we just had another one where there were two kind of black strips, which is said to signify timeline changes. And over the last few weeks, I started seeing kind of the time runner guys again. I saw them a few times, and I only see them whenever the timeline's being manipulated or being shifted or something like that is occurring with time. So, and that showed up in the Schumann just yesterday, I believe. But this is really interesting. It's going crazy, and it kind of looks like angel wings. And the publisher says Christ Consciousness Unleashed. I've also been getting a lot of messages about Christ Consciousness and the Merkaba. Where am I at? About Christ Consciousness activating and the Merkaba light bodies activating. Yeah, and the Grand Canyon's on fire as well. So it's been on fire for a while. So they could be trying to cover some tracks. It could also be like a cleansing, a purging of the land. But there's so much going on all around us that's just barely being hidden or covered up. So there's tons of different artifacts. I've also been picking up on the Ark of the Covenant. I've been hearing that in my head a lot just this week, even this morning. So there's something going on with that as well. Just a lot of really interesting things occurring in the world. And there was a fire at Area 51. I forgot I did screenshot some recent kind of like anomalies. There's been a lot of weather anomalies. And I think that's also a sign of the earth purging. Some of it is definitely manipulated, but it's also the earth cleansing and purging and some of these things coming up to the surface. So the earth is releasing a lot of old trapped energy and grid work. So that's what's been a big part of my trip has been. Moving on to my trip now. Holy Spirit fire, let's go. Well, I'll check the comments real quick before we move on to the trip. Mary Magdalene, I know I was thinking of her too, more of that coming to the surface and her true role. Because she was suppressed and they said mean things about her. And her and Jesus actually had children together, which was kept secret. The Smithsonian releases should be great. Yeah, I hope so. Lots of volcanoes erupting. Yeah, there's a lot going on. The earth is shaking. And how are you guys feeling with what's been going on and just energetically? We're also going through a lot of soul retrieval, reclaiming lost light, and activating our Merkabas, which is your chariot to ascension. During my time in Mount Shasta, the Telosians, the inner earth beings, shared a lot about the Merkaba. That was kind of what most of at least the first retreat was about, was activating that. And that massively helps to raise your frequency, expand your consciousness, help to activate healing abilities within you, your ability to heal yourself, your ability to heal others. So all of those things are starting to activate right now. We're getting hit with the solar energies. The Schumann resonance is going off the charts. We've got grid works grid workers and light workers and starseeds all around the planet doing their light work, even if you're not traveling to some of these destinations, even if you're just sitting in your own backyard or front yard, you are anchoring your light and doing work. And we are receiving more light right now, anchoring that down and helping to activate and bring up this 5D grid, helping to dissolve the matrix. Been feeling really energized lately, really exhausted, as I had done previously for a long, long time, right? Constant headache. Definitely make sure that you guys are staying hydrated. I've had some bad headaches in the last couple of days too. Hey, Canadian friends. Yeah, I've been feeling a lot of crown chakra tingling going on right now, third eye pulsing, so you might feel that. So we are being activated right now. Absolutely incredible. And also facing shadows, that's a part of it as well. Transmuting and purging and shining a light on the darkness. So it's not always going to be the funnest part, but that definitely plays a part in it. Been feeling really tired. Yeah, those are all symptoms, ascension symptoms. Definitely ascension symptoms. Okay, so I want to take you guys on a journey here, and I want to show you some incredible pictures. First, we'll go through Mount Shasta. So I will share my screen again here. And I want to show you guys an example of, well, maybe I'll do it a different way. Video file here. I want to show you guys an example of what these kind of, maybe some evidence of energetic portals. So you can use dowsing rods to help pick up on like ley lines or portals or vortexes. It'll make the dowsing rods move. So we found one site. Bob, who is in the chat, actually guided us during the retreat to this site. This was a new site for me. Absolutely incredible, very powerful site. It's a Lumerian temple. So it's a bunch of kind of like rocks is what we see in the 3D, but it's like an entrance, a portal entrance, a vortex, a healing chamber, a healing temple. We did a really powerful meditation there. And let me just go ahead and open this real quick. Yeah, so you can tell my wrist isn't moving. So that's for all the haters.
Wow. Whoa.
Wow, that is going.
Wow. It's like a helicopter. Yeah. It was getting stronger as I moved up.
When you were in line with that opening.
Yeah, I think
right
it's that
above
over
her
there.
head.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, you're right in the spot. That's it.
The energy gets stronger. So that's one way to help measure some of these sites. So we're right in it. Yeah, that's a good idea. I should try a compass there. Yeah, I wonder what other type of tools you could use to measure.
Wow, look at it now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's spinning pretty fast. Mount Shasta, Northern California. You can see I'm not moving my wrist. I'm holding it, and it's just moving by itself from the energy. And you can practice with that at home. I would recommend getting some dowsing rods. Okay, this is a funny video while we're all touching the rock. Christine, who she might be in the chat, she was attending the retreat. Her hair, the energy was so strong, the front of her hair was sticking straight up. So I'd never seen that quite before.
So on top of that, we've got Christine's hair sticking straight up in the vortex.
I just noticed.
That's so cool. I can feel it. I can hear it.
You look like alfalfa.
Thank you.
Yeah, her hair was going crazy. That was a new one. I hadn't seen that before. Making the hair. I don't think Tyler took that footage. No, he wasn't there for the first retreat. Yeah, okay, so let's see what else do we have here. Okay, this was interesting. On the last day of the first retreat, we saw what looked like a portal opening up. We went to this Gateway Peace Garden. It's a very beautiful sanctuary. You can go there and write down your prayers. There's a little labyrinth there, absolutely magical place. And we were there as a group, just spending some time, quiet time, praying and connecting with the ascended masters and all that. And then I look up, and then there's this what appears to be a portal, strange cloud formation right above us. It was absolutely amazing.
What is happening? There's the Mount Shasta. And we got what looks like a portal.
Like, you don't see circle clouds like that unless there's energy manipulating it. So that was pretty, that was a new one for me as well. That was pretty awesome. I've got one more video to share in this way. Castle Crags. Now, I don't know if you guys saw my, I did do one live stream from Mount Shasta while I was there, and shared some really interesting experiences that I had had so far. And one of them was at Castle Crags. So I'll just show you a quick video. We climbed all the way up, and it's such a huge incline that it takes hours, and literally it's an incline the whole way up. But we got up there. I felt really called. I knew I was going to be doing a lot of important work at Castle Crags. And actually, maybe let me show you a picture of what it looks like from the outside. So if you ever find yourself in Mount Shasta, I would recommend checking out Castle Crags if you can. It's pretty amazing. Got Castle Crags right here. It's massive. So there's a trail going up it. It's like shoop, 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 shoop. And I had some really interesting experiences with Sasquatch beings in the forest below. Here's another picture. So you're kind of climbing up. And it really does. It looks like a massive, stunning castle. It's quite amazing. And I had a really interesting experience. Here, I'll remove that. And I'll add this video file just to see from above, and then I'll share the experience.
I mean, the quartz up here.
Oh, there was a bunch of quartz. Let's view.
I mean, the quartz up here.
Whose voice is that? It didn't sound like Phil or Tyler. It's kind of weird. Okay, so Castle Crags, now that you guys got the visual of it. That top part where all the rocks were, once we got up there, I was tuning in, like, what's the significance of this place? And then I was hearing actually up at the very top where all the rock is, they were saying it was like empty. It's more of, well, and there's quartz in it. It's more of an antenna, and it's channeling energy down. And they were showing me that all of the portals and more of the mystical stuff, kind of the meat of it, is below in the forest on the way up. And right, who could that be? Maybe that was a Sasquatch who was there with us, or Lemurian. Actually, while we were sitting up there, I saw a ship from the Telosians, from the Silver Fleet. It looked like a silver, kind of the typical UFO flying saucer in the sky. And I saw it, like, it just kind of like blipped in for a second. I was seeing through the veil, and it was kind of like right up next to us. That was pretty cool. And it was a pretty good sized, maybe like scout ship, but it was very close to us, silver. And that's what the Telosians, their fleet is called the Silver Fleet. So they have ships. And if you're in Mount Shasta or around that area, you might see some of their ships, as well as all other sorts of galactics. There's Andromedans, there are Arcturians, Pleiadians, also. It's just a huge hub for many galactic, interdimensional fairy ascended masters, like all sorts of species. But so they said that the meat of it was really below, and that felt more of like an antenna or a channel for the energy. And we did encounter some, what I was calling a Sasquatch portal, and we had some experiences with Sasquatch during the second retreat. We walked up part of that. But something really interesting that happened the first time I went, and you're kind of running on endorphins or whatever, because you've just trekked this huge hike going up at a very steep incline. And on the way down, you almost feel kind of like a runner's high, or you feel, I don't know really what the best word for it would be, but maybe more in tune and more sensitive, because you just went on this intense hike up and you're on your way down. And even the way down is kind of intense as well, because you're going down at a steep incline the entire time. But at one point, while we were kind of in the middle of the way down, I started having this strange sensation where I felt like I was in two places at once. And it was very odd. I became hyper aware of this. And then I heard pterodactyl, and I looked up and I saw a pterodactyl for a couple of seconds flying overhead over the trees. You see the trees, and then there's a pterodactyl flying right above us. And that was really trippy. And it was like I tapped into, or there was another version of me, which weird things with time and you by location happen in Mount Shasta. Just very strange things like that happen. It was like I was in Inner Earth at the same time, and I was tapping into that version of me. And I looked up and saw a pterodactyl, which Inner Earth is known for having some of the dinosaurs. I've also seen like long-necked dinosaurs down there, and just being very, very lush. So I thought that was really interesting. And then whenever we went up there with the retreat, the second retreat, on the way down, I had another experience where I saw, it was very similar and around the same area. It was kind of in the middle, the halfway point, if you were to take the trail up to the rocky part. Around that halfway, or like a quarter of the way, it's like the veil gets very thin and the dimensions like bleed through, and you can tap into multiple realities at once. And I started feeling that sensation again. And I looked up and I saw what looked like King Kong, or like a massive, like a huge gorilla, like swinging through the trees, which I know that sounds kind of crazy. But I don't know if you guys have seen the new King Kong versus Godzilla movie, but they actually depict Inner Earth, and they show the pyramids in Inner Earth, and King Kong is in Inner Earth, and that's why they're massive, because things are bigger down there, or can be bigger down there. And there's a bunch of other like massive apes and all that. So there's some disclosure in that movie too. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. That was my Castle Craig's experience. Was just listening to Bigfoot Society. I love hearing about people's experiences. Yeah, I was trying to find some good, because we had such a long drive. I was trying to find some good like Sasquatch Bigfoot stories on YouTube. And I noticed a lot of them are kind of like fear-mongering stories, at least some of the popular ones, or they're debunking it or whatever. And I'm like, man, it would be really cool to just have kind of like a radio show where people have, positive mystical experiences with Sasquatch, and you can just listen to those sorts of stories. I've got tons of them, actually. Sedona. So I see some people in the chat talking about Sedona. I do have a Sedona retreat coming up in October. Let me show. I'll just show. It's show on my website. It's late October, and I'll be taking people to different energy vortexes and doing meditations, activations, sky watches, and all sorts of fun things like that. So it's October 20th through 24th. Can you guys see my screen right now? I think you can. Yep, you can. Perfect. Experience the magic of Sedona's energy vortexes, one of America's most sacred spaces. Now, I'll say you're guaranteed to see some sort of a ship in Mount Shasta or Sedona. I can basically guarantee that that's going to happen. Like, we see them almost every single night. in both locations because it's like a huge kind of like portal. It's a huge hub for them. So the focus of this magical event will be visiting sacred sites and potent energy vortexes in the Sedona area, which can help attendees achieve transcendental experiences, profound healings, powerful upgrades, and activations. Sedona carries keys that can help unlock your DNA and propel your remembering journey. And here's a couple pictures where we caught some cool purple anomaly. Dan, if he's in the chat, he took this photo on my last retreat. In this one, we were doing a group meditation at one of the vortex sites, and we had this massive ship basically hover around us. I caught it on video. So it's just a very magical place. And Sedona is an amplifier as well as just the veil being super thin. There's probably aliens walking around all over the place, basically guaranteed to have some sort of experience. And this is our retreat house as well, where I will be hosting. You can stay on site or off site. We did have a couple of on site tickets. I think there's only 2 beds left on site. Those just opened up. And then we do have some off site, but we'll have a jacuzzi and pool and all of that. So if you're interested in joining us in September or October, then feel free to sign up on my website. You guys couldn't see any of that? Oh gosh, okay. Tyler just came through and showed. He just put a sign up in the window. Hey, it's not showing up. Now, can you guys see it? It's so weird. Sorry about that. So here's the website, lilynovacontact.com. Here are some of the pictures that we've got. And there's the picture I was talking about with the purple energy, the light anomalies. Here's the group meditation that we were doing at one of the vortex sites with the huge ship that came around. It was kind of like, it looked like a 3-orb cluster, but it was massive, and it came and circled around us and flew back out. So all sorts of amazing things like that happen. And then here is the retreat house. And like I said, there are 2 beds left on site. And I also have off-site tickets available. So it's going to be probably about 15 people. We want to keep this kind of a smaller group. And we'll be doing some hiking and things like that. Meditations, activations, helping you to activate your new gifts and abilities, helping you to connect with your star family, as well as healing. So Sedona has amazing energy that is supporting that. Yeah, the retreat house is cool. I'm very excited about the retreat house, actually. I understand you need to be in Sedona to really experience the retreat. But will anything be available for online purchase? Just thought I would ask. I do have some workshops and things already available online. I think once I get kind of settled back in, I would like to host some more online events. I've been doing a lot of traveling, so I would like to host some kind of workshops and activations and group online things. I don't have anything lined up around the time for that, but I do have some already available on my website. There's one for DNA activation. It's kind of like a course program. I also have how to connect with your star family and deep chakra healing and clearing with inner earth beings. So I already do have some things on there, but I would love to do some more things coming up. Thank you for asking. Okay, cool. Yep, supposed to be going to Joshua Tree too. I'll share some of the other, maybe I'll just go ahead and share some of the other events real quick too. So we have that, and then we have Joshua Tree over the fall equinox. I believe that's donation based now for that event. And then I'm also speaking at the Star Knowledge Conference in October 10th. So that's in South Dakota. That's going to be in honor of Chief Golden Light Eagle, which I actually saw him on Ancient Aliens a while back. I didn't realize it was the same man. So I'm super excited and honored to be invited to speak at the Star Knowledge Conference. So it's going to be a lot of Native American speakers, as well as like Brad Olson's going to be there. I'm going to be there, and a few others. So you can learn more about that. Brad Olson's going to be there. yeah, you can learn more about that on the website. And then Sedona Retreat, October 2025. And then we also have Journey to Truth in Hawaii in April, if Tyler would like to share the dates for that. Okay, now we can move on to the next phase. Actually, I want to show you guys just a couple of light anomalies. So the light anomalies in Mount Shasta that you can capture on camera are absolutely insane. This was a known inner Earth portal entrance where we went to. I took the group. Lowell Johnson actually physically went into inner Earth in this area. It's on top of Mount Shasta, down a trail, kind of hidden a little bit in some woods, but it's this really interesting rock formation. The dowsing rods were going crazy right there too. Lowell Johnson has a great testimony of what he experienced. The Telosians invited him in, and they're like, they've got the long, light-colored hair. I usually see them wearing white, like robes, and they're around like 7 feet tall, fair skin beings. He's got a great testimony on what he experienced down there if you want to learn more about that. So we went to this inner Earth portal and did a meditation, communed with the Telosians and our other galactics and things like that. And here's Victor took this picture. He was capturing some crazy light anomalies. So it's really interesting. And maybe you can pick up some light codes from these pictures that I'm showing you. Like I said, the energy channels through the screen. You can try and get pictures like this in other places with like the light and stuff, but it's just not, it doesn't really happen, or it's rare. I get the craziest photos in Mount Shasta. This was me up on the mountain, and that looks like a dragon. So going back to the grid work aspect, the dragons, they're in another dimensional being that are still very much here. And you can work with them, and they work with the ley lines of the earth. So I thought that was really cool. One showed up in the background, kind of in this cloud formation. This was at one of the inner Earth entrances, not the one on top of the mountain where Lowell Johnson went into. This was the inner Earth temple, where we had a beautiful experience in a healing chamber, basically, with the Telosians, and received a massive healing, as well as soul fragments were returned to us that had been lost from Lemuria and Atlantis. That's a really important part of our journey, and healing that, reintegrating that, remembering that, helping to activate that. And this is Ruby, caught this amazing light. It looks like angels, but then it also could be, it might sound kind of weird, but I mean, these beings, they travel through light. Light is information. Information travels through light. So you can capture evidence of them through these different light anomalies, rainbows even. So it's pretty cool. These could be Telosians or inner Earth beings as well. But I feel a lot of angelic energy around this picture too. So they may be in another dimension, but it can kind of bleed through or be caught on camera. The lens captures more than our eyes can see. Our eyes can only see a tiny fraction. Let me make sure that everybody can just see that. Okay, good. Cool, cool. This was Jack and some other interesting light anomalies. This was also taken at the temple. And look, if you zoom in, this looks really crazy zoomed in. I haven't zoomed into that. There's a bunch of codes in this light. Tons of coded information. And our consciousness is like a computer, basically. So it's like in the Matrix, literally, where Neo gets upgraded. He can learn how to fight. He can learn how to do whatever, master his mind by receiving downloads of that program, that enlightened program, or that mastery program. And that happens through these codes, upgrading you. Yeah, there's like lines going across it. Very interesting. So there's Jack. Here's another picture with some amazing, a lot of the time on Mount Shasta, because it's known for having violet energy. I've seen it as like the crown chakra of the planet. Some people say it's the root chakra of the planet. Maybe it can change depending on what's going on or who you are. But I often see violet light, and a lot of people capture this violet light in their photos on the mountain. It's pretty incredible. The violet flame in Saint Germain, who's been seen there, is one of the keepers of the violet flame. I've got meditations on that. That's one of the most powerful, potent tools for spiritual transformation. The rainbows, that different beings travel through these orbs. Some other light anomalies. Like, I mean, this stuff is real. It's happening all around us, even if you can't necessarily see it. But the veil is thinning, becoming thinner and thinner and thinner. And then more people are being able to see this and perceive it and interact with it. It's pretty incredible. There's Bob. He's got a lot of what looks like a rainbow orb right here. And then just all right here is a bunch of lights. Just pretty incredible. That again is in front of a Lemurian temple. In the rocks, that's just what we're seeing in the 3D, in the physical. There's more going on in other realms there. I've seen a crystalline city in the sky over the Grand Tetons. I've had a friend who wasn't even like super into this, see a crystalline city over Mount Shasta. So it's just like if you have the eyes to see. But it's amazing being able to capture some of these things. Victor, this is one of Victor's amazing photos. Like I said, he was capturing the coolest stuff. And this is completely unedited. So go ahead and maybe set your intention to get some light codes from this. Pretty incredible. Amazing. Here's another one. Like, so beautiful. Here's the retreat group. We got Leah right here, me, Katie, and Mount Shasta, Christine, Victor right there, Hannah. It was a great time. This was at the Inner Earth entrance that Lowell Johnson entered through. And I had an experience, so you can see it right back here. There's me standing right there. There's Katie. So we're at the entrance. And then Victor caught these light anomalies. In the live stream that I did from Mount Shasta, which you can find on my page if you want to watch that, I talked a lot about how even if we can't physically always go to these places because it's a whole different density, it's another dimension, it's another frequency. It can be very difficult on our bodies to do that. Maybe not even necessarily safe to do that because these realms are in other dimensions and other densities. But as the consciousness shifts on the planet and the planet is ascending, we're ascending up, into the 5D basically. But I was talking a lot about bilocation because you can do incredible things with your consciousness and you can have amazing experiences. We are creators, co-creators, creating our experience and manifesting. Every thought you have is creating something in the field, even if you can't see it. So a good way to experience these beings in these places, even if you can't physically go to Inner Earth, although if you're in Mount Shasta, you might have a weird experience like me where I was in 2 places at once and I saw the pterodactyl. Stuff like that happens. But you can also do sort of like a meditation or just tune in. And they're also telling me right now, like using your vocals, doing ohms, things like that. A lot of this is kind of triggered by vocals, using sound and vibration. Then you can get into a heightened state and you can essentially bilocate into these places, and you can still have physical interactions. Tyler had an experience up on the mountain. He went by himself one day, somewhere above this inner earth entrance to another entrance area, very highly energetic site. And he had an experience where I guess he was meditating, and I think he saw, if I remember correctly, saw an inner earth being, and they invited him in. Well, first they said, stop trying so hard and, waiting for something to happen. They said, create it. Use your imagination. Set your intention. Because whatever we decide we want to experience, it already starts happening pretty instantly. And we're becoming better and better manifestors, co-creating in the quantum field. We're literally mini creator gods walking around. And so then he had a beautiful experience where I believe an inner earth being took him to a temple, a healing temple with emerald waters. And he had this beautiful healing experience. And he had some very detailed recall about how it felt on his cells, how this water, exactly how it worked, and it like adjusted to his frequency and what exactly he needed, and then helped to heal and recharge him. I'm paraphrasing this, but then afterwards, he had, sorry, Tyler, I'm putting you on blast. But then like the next day, he peed like emerald green, like from the emerald green water. Like it had like a greenish hue, like it was like real. It still physically affected him. And of course he had, very cleansing, healing, purifying experience. He had a lot of, well, we all had a lot of very cleansing, purifying, healing, transformative experiences while we were there. But I just thought that was really interesting. And the year prior, I was at this same location and I was meditating with the intention to go in physically. And although, I was like, I'm open to whatever happens. And my consciousness saw going down the tunnel, like I was going in to inner earth. And then I saw us being greeted. It was a group of 5 of us, I think 5. Yeah. I saw us being greeted by the Telosians. They were tall, bigger. They had the white gowns, the long hair. They greeted us, and then they had us change our clothes into kind of like these white flowing, comfortable clothes, like high vibe clothing, I guess. And I remember sitting at a long table with them. It was like a gathering where maybe we were like eating a little bit, although I think they're vegetarian. They just kind of like snack a little bit. But it was like this huge gathering and on a huge table. And then I remember walking around the field, and there's just like flowers and lush and like kind of crystalline houses and temples. And I remember sitting with the group of humans that I was there with. Katie was one of them. And we were like meditating together. And then the Telosians were teaching us how to use our voice for healing and how to sing for healing and activation and do different things with our voice. And then they were showing us how they paint with they use flowers and plants and other things, crush up to make natural paint and do this beautiful artwork. And like I had all of these experiences that it just felt kind of like a blip, like it all happened in an instant, but it felt like we lived a lifetime down there. And I don't know if that was like a bilocation thing or what exactly, but I saw us going down there. I saw us together sitting in the field meditating and sitting at a table with the Telosians, but it felt like maybe it all set on this plane, it happened like in an instant, but in another plane, it was this whole thing. And it literally felt like we trained with them and learned from them and lived with them for quite some time. So that was really interesting. And moral of the story is that I believe you can have these sort of experiences using your mind and meditation techniques and intention and things like that. Being on site definitely helps. 100% helps. Going to these energy vortexes and things like that. But you can do a meditation and have a very real, profound, transformative experience through bilocation or traveling through your consciousness. And they're reminding me of the Merkaba light body is part of how you do that. Let me see if there's anything else. So this was our group. up near the entrance. That was great. We're doing some great work up there. This looks like a ship, a cloaked ship. You know, they do that a lot. Kind of looks like a hat. You know, you'll see these weird ships and they're literally, they're cloaking. They're right there. There's ships all in the sky. They're just cloaking. And sometimes they'll use the clouds to cloak. Here's another picture of some of us from the first retreat, top of the mountain. Cute. And there's that portal that I showed you guys earlier. And it kind of looks like angels around it or ascended masters or something like that. Some people said that they could see a lion, but yeah, that's not normal. That's not normal. The clouds don't make circles. Pretty cool. Wow, I've been going for a minute and I still have to go through Montana and Banff. Please hit the like button if you guys are here right now. Helps the channel. Yes, me was in fact emerald green hours after the experience. Awesome, Tyler. Thanks for sharing. So yeah, you can have amazing. Emerald's been coming up so much. And then we've also got like the emerald jewel. Tyler's going to be talking about that later on his live that Melania might be receiving. I haven't dived into that too much, but emerald's just been coming up a lot, even throughout the trip. And then we come back and then there's like this other emerald stuff going on. The Emerald Order, very ancient order, the White Brotherhood, things like that. That's part of our history. And I think a lot of us are or were in that. So it's just interesting how much emerald has been coming up. We're remembering. We are remembering. I'm just checking the chat real quick and then we will move on. Montana and Banff will be shorter, but I had some really interesting experiences at those places. Tyler must have been drinking methylene blue. He wasn't though, because I don't think he's tried that before. I tried that once and my whole mouth was blue. I was like, what in the F? I was like, did I do this wrong? My whole mouth was dyed blue. Awesome. Cool. So Montana. I'm going to take it back to Alliance updates just for a second, because I didn't even realize that this was part of the mission. I didn't even think about it. Like, we had this trip planned for a while, but a few months back, well, this was before, Rebels of Disclosure. So in May, I remember I shared it in my presentation. The Alliance was sharing about how a new portal system was going to be opening up and activating in the Rocky Mountains and the Appalachian Mountains. And it was going to be incredibly significant to the awakening of the planet. And I didn't realize, so we were in Mount Shasta first. We went up to Oregon. I had a really crazy experience in Oregon. Check my vlog on that. Because we went on some land where it used to be owned by a secret society. There was a lot of weird stuff going on there, but I had my first like ghost experience, like really crazy stuff happened. We did some intense grid work there. And it was like, previously it was sacred Native American land. So that was my craziest paranormal experience I've ever had in my life. I definitely recommend watching that video. It's like 20 minutes long. And I show some footage too of like orbs. Anyway, so we went up to Oregon. And then next we went to Montana. And then we went up to Canada. I didn't realize that we were like going up, doing grid work, helping to activate those portals and clean out, reprogram, tune the portals and the grid all the way up. Because then we went up to Canada and we were on the Rocky Mountains the entire time. I was like, oh my gosh, the Alliance told me that there was a new portal system activating back in May, and I didn't realize, like, I had already had this planned trip, but of course it's divine timing for everything, that was part of the big mission of what I was doing there. So Montana, we were near Glacier Park. I'll get back to that in a moment whenever we get to Canada, but now I'll go ahead and show Montana. Sorry if I'm jumping around. Montana was cool because we went to a vortex there. This place is an anomaly. Sometimes you see these places and you're like, is it fake? You know, what is it? But no, this place was actually really powerful. It's a place where things are weird. The veil is thin, things are weird. Like you can be sideways. Sometimes it looks like you're shrinking and you're shorter and more dense. Other times, depending on where you stand, you look taller. Like it's all this weird stuff, and you can physically feel the energy and feel like the gravity like pulling at you. It's so weird. There's very weird anomalies. There's a place like this in Oregon as well. It's called Montana Vortex, and then probably Oregon Vortex if you want to look into that. So they had like this ladder up, and then Phil was like just hanging out sideways. It's strange. And the veil is very thin there. I saw a Sasquatch there in the forest as soon as we walked back to that part. I saw one there for a second. And the owner said there's a lot of Sasquatch activity. They're spotted a lot back there, and they capture a lot of weird anomalies on camera too. And there's like multiple vortexes on the property, and you can sit there and receive an amazing healing. It's healed a lot of people sitting back there, the owner was saying. So that was pretty cool. I highly recommend going to check that place out if you can. Montana Vortex and House of Mystery. I was actually impressed. Defies the laws of physics, a quantum experience. Like they don't even know exactly what's going on. And I believe there's a scientist who comes up and does experiments a lot on the property because it's just so weird. And around that same area, I met some new Andromedan beings. It's like they were using that vortex area to portal in and out. They kind of hung out around there, but I had some really cool experiences with them. They were the homies. As well as Sasquatch experiences. And after we left this Montana Vortex, we went out to eat. And as I'm sitting there eating, I can see out the window, and I just see tons, like hundreds of beings on the mountain looking at us. Like we going into that vortex caught their attention. And they were just kind of like watching us. They felt like very benevolent nature beings and Sasquatch and stuff like that. Elementals, fairies, a lot of that sort of energy there in Montana. But yeah, it was really cool. And I'll show you one picture that I got. Federation Forest, that was a forest nearby that we drove through. That was interesting, Federation Forest. So here's a picture of me in the house. And they have like this house tilted at an angle, but it's still like, they do that because you're already like tilting. And it just kind of like exaggerates it, of course, but the gravity is pulling you. The energy is pulling you. And that day, the energy was swirling in counterclockwise. We all could feel that separately without, like that's what we all came up with. We could literally feel the energy doing that. But so there's me. And can you guys see this face right here? Alexis from Ascension Diaries pointed that out. It looks like an eye. Kind of a mouth. It almost looks like a Sasquatch face. And I'm see-through. So in the Montana vortex, there's really weird light anomalies that happen. Some people are like missing body parts because you're like partially phased into this reality, partially phased into this other reality. It's really crazy. So I'm like see-through, and there's a face there. You can see through my head. And sometimes you can capture. I caught some orbs on video. I don't have the picture pulled up, but I did capture some orbs. Here I have it circled. Montana Vortex. Pretty incredible. I would definitely go back there and I would like to spend some more time. We kind of had to rush through it, but it's a very potent place. Like I said, I was incredibly impressed. Very impressed. And we spent one night, not in the Federation Forest, but we spent one night in the experimental forest on accident. There was a little bit of weird vibes there. I don't know why it's called experimental forest. But yeah, so there's that. And then we'll go on to Banff and then we'll wrap it up. Forget the face, you're transparent, right? Yeah. It was pretty crazy. Many vortexes in Alberta, more than any other province in Canada. Now I see why. The Rockies. Right, exactly. So now we'll go ahead and move on to Canada. And Canada kind of stole the show for me. It was, see, am I still sharing? Okay. Pretty amazing. The mountains there are massive. It literally looks surreal. Tyler was like, the mountains here put like Colorado to shame, is what he said. Something to that extent. And we were specifically in Alberta. It's like near the border of British Columbia and Alberta, the Rocky Mountains, like I showed you guys that picture of just a minute ago. Or not that one, this one. So we were traveling up the Rockies. And I didn't even really realize that. So we were around here at Banff is where we spent a majority of the time. They've got this bright blue, incredibly just beautiful water. It looks like electric blue, light blue Kool-Aid. Did you guys ever used to drink that? I know it's terrible for you, but our parents didn't know. That electric blue Kool-Aid. So good. Well, not so good, but the water is so cool, I meant. But these mountains are incredibly massive. It literally looks like you're in Lord of the Rings. This was one of our hotels that we stayed at. This was a whole other crazy experience that I had. I forgot. So this is an incredibly haunted hotel. I was really drawn to it. And I'm like, there's something going on there. It looks like an old castle just in the middle of these massive mountains. And so I looked it up. Sure enough, it's known for being very haunted. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. This place, I was getting messages specifically where we were, which was right outside of downtown Banff. It felt very sacred land. It was very, very sacred land. And then I look at some of the paintings and things on the wall, and it's talking about how this was sacred Native American land. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I was picking up on that. That night, I had a dream where, I saw like we were kind of right lined up with this hotel. And this was very good vibes here where we were sitting or where we were staying. But I saw like a portal open up, like it connected through a grid through this area. So I think this hotel was very strategically put at a portal site or where some ley lines converge or something like that, a high energy spot. Hence why it's haunted, or part of the reason why it's haunted. The energy is very amplified there. But I felt it connecting with where we were staying. And that night I had dreams. Like I traveled over to that hotel and I was helping to clear and move on the spirits there, the ghosts, because a lot of them had been trapped there and they were being fed off of like their turmoil and their loss, their confusion, their pain, whatever happened to them in their life that they were still kind of reliving over and over, or just their energy of being stuck in that plane. I felt there was things that was feeding off of that, like archonic energy, like keeping them stuck there. So that was really profound and cool. I wasn't expecting that to happen where I traveled over there and I was helping to clear that and help move on spirits, which is what we also did in Oregon. If you haven't watched that vlog, that was also kind of like a loose harvesting from the rituals that were taking place by the secret societies. And there was a lot of history there from Native Americans, from African American, like slavery days. It is just an area rich in history. But there was similar things going on there where they were just trapped. And during the clearing in Oregon, I heard not all of the spirits are ready to move on. So I thought that was interesting. Like, we helped move on who we could, and that was really great. But they said not all of them are ready. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, so right there at that haunted, Tyler, if you remember the name of that hotel, I think is it Fairmont? There's two of them. One's on Lake Louise, I believe, and then the other one's right here. So it's known for being haunted. And yeah, so I went there and helped some spirits move on, helped clean up those portals, probably close some dark portals, tune different things. And that was a big part of what this mission was about. And what I was doing out there, grid work in Mount Shasta, I was kind of half asleep, like kind of lucid, but remembered traveling to different portal sites and vortexes in Mount Shasta with my retreat attendees, and we were tuning the portals and tuning the grid. So a lot of these portals and vortexes and things like that have been hijacked by nefarious energies and entities, and we are helping to clear that. We are helping to repair that, uninvert it, and then activate the Christ grid, if you want to call it, the 5D grid, which is helping us rise and ascend, as well as the planet. It's like your meridians, like you go and get acupuncture and you've got all your chakras in your body, same for the planet. So if your chakras are blocked or not spinning the right way or corrupted, or there's attachments and whatever going on, blockages in your chakras, your frequency is going to be low. You're going to be having a hard time. And yeah, you're just not going to be working proper. Think of the same way with the Earth grid. So very important work that we were doing there. And I'd like to add that this area of Canada, okay, first off, Canada felt very light and crisp. The air was more breathable. It was like you can just expand, and it's so vast. It felt different crossing the border. Like, you could definitely feel it. And me and Tyler were discussing this. There's a lot of DUMBs, deep underground military bases, a lot of military control, and all these underground facilities in America. And out there, most of this, in Alberta at least, it's protected. Like, you can't even venture out. They've got these forests like blocked off to where you can't even go in there. It's very protected, and it's just very vast. There's a lot of empty land with all these mountains and stuff. But you can literally feel the energy lighten up whenever you cross the border into that area, because there's not so much kind of like constricting energetic control, and not as much programming in the way, at least, that the United States. There's still programming in Canada for sure, but it's like a different type. So it was really interesting experiencing that. On the way back, whenever we spent a few days in Canada, and whenever we crossed the border back into the States, literally, like, immediately I could feel myself being bombarded by lower frequencies. And it felt like kind of like targeting or programming. I felt a constricting energy that, being away and out of the United States for a while, I was able to really feel the difference coming back in. I'm like, holy shit, yeah, it's palpable. Like, you can literally feel it. It's just a bit more constricting type energy compared to this portion, at least, of Canada. So I thought that was really interesting. As we were going into Canada, and this part of Canada is very well known, BC and Alberta area, for Sasquatch. A lot of people have Sasquatch experiences up and around these areas. And I made contact with them as we were crossing over. They knew we were coming, of course. And they told me something interesting. I was asking about, are there a bunch of clans here? And they're like, yes, there are many clans here, and but they're like much fewer than before. And the Sasquatch, like this clan leader, told me that many of them had chosen to ascend out of this plane. Like, maybe they were done with their karma, or maybe they're just tired of Earth. I don't know. Maybe a combination of both, or that was they were done with this part of their evolution and they were ascending out. Not saying all the Sasquatch are ascending out, but they said there are much fewer Sasquatch than there were before because many of them have ascended out. And I thought that was really interesting. There's still a lot there, but yeah, a lot of them had ascended out. I'm just checking to see. I want to make sure that I discuss everything that I wanted to. So there was one morning in Banff where I had an experience where I became hyper aware of like the Matrix. It was really interesting. Like it was the day I was going to do something really important that day, having to do with the grid, and I'll share that in a second. I came across a wizard, got to meet a wizard or a warlock. And I was basically told like kind of hush hush, like kind of cloak myself because I was doing something really important that day. And it was weird because I felt hyper aware of the Matrix. So the Matrix, even though Canada in this area was so beautiful and felt so much lighter, so much more breathable and so mystical and so magical. I'm seeing ascended, a lot of angelics, archangels, Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, the Sasquatch, the elementals, even like inner earth beings and things like that, portals, amazing mystical experiences. The Matrix was still there and I became hyper aware of it. And it was like I'm walking down in the town of Banff and it's like, man, any one of these people could suddenly turn into an Agent Smith, like in the Matrix. It was really interesting. I was hyper aware of it. And I was like, okay, like I was in very strong contact with the Alliance. And I'm like, okay, what's the mission? Because they're like, just be mindful, cloak yourself. You're kind of doing a covert mission today. I'm like, okay. And which, it's said and done, so I can share it now. But they're like, kind of just stay cloaked. And you can literally cloak yourself in your energy field, put up a mirror, things like that. Also, just kind of to be a little bit sneaky if you think there are nefarious things around. But yeah, as I was looking around, like depicted in the Matrix movie, you're in kind of this program, which is like the 3D realm is the program we're in. And Neo and his group, they've got to kind of maneuver around the Matrix, not being spotted or not drawing attention to themselves, really, is the big ticker. Because if they drew attention to themselves and they did something that a random civilian saw, an Agent Smith could like take over their body and do something to throw them off. I became hyper aware of that. And that's happened a few times to me where I've become hyper aware of the Matrix like that. So still Matrix program, but I asked, so what's the mission? And they said to break the code, to break the Matrix code. That's what we're doing. And this day we went to the top of this mountain, actually, I believe it was. We took a gondola up to the tippy top. And whenever we got up there, you could kind of walk to some other spots. And I just kept hearing like something's going to happen up there. Something's going to happen up there. Very important. We walked up, kind of made it to the toppest part that we could. Interestingly enough, the rest of the top was kind of like blocked off where you couldn't go up to the very, very tip top. You could previously, but it was blocked off. So we went as high as we could and I closed my eyes and immediately I see this wizard who looked just like this guy from Lord of the Rings. Looked just like the White Wizard. And then I saw this meme and I thought that was funny. Like, I just saw him. He looked just like him. Looked like this. And he kind of startled me because he was right there. It was very abrupt. His energy was kind of jarring and I didn't really quite understand his intentions, but I was like, oh, this is a new space. It felt like he was kind of a guardian of that area. And so I'm like, okay, so I close my eyes and I start kind of working with light and setting the intention to do grid work. And immediately I started seeing like dark things. Like it aggravated him and he didn't like that. And so I'm like, okay, I just like backed off. I'm like, that's weird. And then in my head, I heard warlock. He was a warlock. And so wizard versus warlock, like warlock has more of kind of like a negative vibe to it. And it felt like he was guarding like a program or portal, kind of keeping the 3D matrix in place. And if you look at like the Rockies, it's like Canada seems like the source. And when you go up there, it feels like the source. The mountains are more massive, it's more free, it's mystical. And then it's like all that energy trickles down in that portal system, trickles down into the states. So it's like it felt like we were going up to the source, and it was going to travel down the Rockies and impact literally everything else. So this guy felt kind of like a gatekeeper. And I just kind of backed off. I'm like, okay. But, I go and kind of do my own thing up on the mountain and just set, most benevolent outcome, highest intentions. And on the gondola, I have kind of an interesting experience too. I'm feeling something interesting, like heightened sensations. And I'm tapping in to realize, to kind of meditate on. Oh, I also saw dragons up there as well, which they work with the grid and the ley line. So I saw dragons up there. And I was reflecting on that experience. I'm like, what just happened? And they said that they gave me a code or some information to help break the matrix, help to dissolve the 3D, and help bring in the 5D. And I would be taking that back and using that in other areas down the Rockies. We went back to Montana after that, and back in Sedona, which is a massive vortex site. And but this guy, he felt like this warlock guy. He felt like he was guarding that space and guarding the old paradigm, but he was not allowed to interfere. He was not allowed to interfere. He had to step back whenever I was receiving what I was meant to receive up there, kind of using this mountain as like an antenna or a portal, if you will, for me to be able to receive these other codes and help work with the grid in that capacity. It's like his hands were tied. He couldn't touch me, but he did kind of like try to scare me a little bit. But he felt like part of the old guard. And since I've been back, I've been seeing a benevolent wizard who looks a lot like Merlin, actually. Why isn't this going away? Oh my gosh, I can't exit. Okay, my computer's doing something weird. Tyler, if you're listening, I might need your help because I can't back out of this. Hopefully I'm still alive. Well, here's a giant face in the mountains, which was pretty amazing. You can see a lot of guardians there. Okay, I am live. This is weird. I just texted Tyler. It's not letting me back out of anything. Okay, there we go. Finally. That was. I got it.
Oh. Well, hey. Can I remember the story I told you about the
Come on in.
guardians on top of the dam?
Come on in.
What's up, guys? Here.
Or here, you sit.
I'm just gonna be 2 seconds and I'll leave you alone.
You're fine.
So when we got back from the trip, I was falling asleep and I just popped in on a guardian meeting on top of the mountain where we were in Banff. It was like I just popped in, like astrally popped in, and there was these like light body guardians, maybe even the archangels. Like there was a whole team of guardians convening at the top of the mountain. I don't know what they were talking about. I could see them from above, and they, when the meeting concluded, they all went from their light bodies and they turned into physical 3D birds, like hawks and eagles and just different types of birds. And they took the form of birds and just started soaring through the mountains. And I felt like that was real. And I think that is actually the case. There's an episode of Stargate SG-1 that kind of depicts that, like the Guardians taking forms of animals to, to interact with the people because they wouldn't be able to like handle that frequency. So they have to present themselves as something familiar. Anyway, it was fascinating. So I just wanted to share that.
Do you want to share anything else?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. My computer would not let me back out. I couldn't see anything. Yeah, that's a interesting story, and that I actually got to see something like that too. Whenever we were in Oregon, whenever we were on this land that was owned by previous owners were part of a secret society. I can't remember the secret society off the top of my head, but it's in my vlog video. The Shriners. And whenever we were going to explore the part of the land where the Shriners had literally a stage, it was an old stage, and it was still the original stage on this land. I saw a dead bird, a dead woodpecker, which is weird. It was just laying in the middle of the ground. It looked fresh, and it was sad, but it didn't look like it hit anything. There were no windows, so we were just kind of confused. And I walked up to it, and I felt like a deep jarring pain in my head, like I had walked into some sort of like an energetic field or anomaly or frequency or something like that. And then later the next day, there was a woodpecker. Actually, I think that morning that woke me up multiple times, kept pecking on the door, on the windows to wake me up. And I ran into the bathroom because at first I thought somebody was knocking on the door. Nobody was there. I'm like, that was weird. Then he did it again the next day, and I ran into the bathroom, and I got to see his head kind of poke out for a second, and then he left. Like, he was knocking for a very long time until I saw him, and it's like he just wanted me to see him. Then he left, like he was trying to tell me something. After that, I heard shapeshifters. The birds are shapeshifters. Like, it wasn't actually birds. So I think the dead bird that we saw, which we went back later, hours later, and it was gone. So I think that was like a shape-shifting bird, actually. Like, it wasn't like a real bird, and it was kind of put there as maybe like a warning to let us know there was some dark stuff going on in that area energetically, which we did a whole massive grid work. And then the ones who were knocking on my window just to like wake me up, and once I saw him, he left. I thought that was interesting too. I believe he was a shapeshifter. And Sasquatch can do that too. He can shapeshift into different beings or portray that. And the ETs can even communicate through animals too. So I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, they are messengers of spirit. The birds are. But specifically, I heard shapeshifter. The birds are shapeshifters whenever I was on the Oregon property. And then Tyler later had that dream or vision that these ascended light beings were shape-shifting into birds up in Canada. Hey, Vaughn. Awesome. Yeah, so very interesting stuff. There's so much more, but I think I'll probably call it there. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3 right now. We've been going for a bit. So yeah, wizards, warlocks, Sasquatch, galactics, inner earth beings, elementals, fairies, vortexes in the middle of, well, Sedona and Montana, these strange anomalies. Like, there's stuff going on all over the place. Canada, the massive vortexes, all of the vortexes there, and just that very incredible mystical energy was amazing. It was amazing. So I hope you guys get to travel to any of these places or explore some places near you. There's also a website called vortexhunters.com if you want to see if you have any vortexes close by in your state. Or come join me at my October Sedona retreat, where I will take you to these locations and help facilitate healings, meditations, making contact with Star Family. And whatever your personal intentions or goals are, Sedona, with the heightened energies, amplified vortexes, and the very thin veil, it can help you achieve that. at a very faster rate. It's very much an amplifier and an accelerator. Anything that does not serve is going to be ripped off, and you're going to be propelled into your highest timeline, into divine alignment. So join us in October. That's at lilynovacontact.com. The retreat is October 20th through 24th, and you just have to put a deposit down to reserve your slot. There are 2 beds left on site, and I have a few off-site tickets as well. And there's a payment plan available. Some of the meals are included. First and last night's group family dinner, as well as some breakfast options, will be available. So I'm super excited about that. Sedona and Mount Shasta and these places, like, they change you. They literally change your life, and the things that you can experience them are pretty experience there are just pretty mind-boggling. Somebody mentions that they were told there's an arc that is in Alberta and then down through Montana. That makes sense, and that's where we were. That's where we were. We didn't even really plan it out. Like, we knew we wanted to go there, but you don't always know the level of significance until afterwards. So I'm still reflecting and integrating a lot, and I've been seeing this Merlin, like, wizard, this morning in the shower before this. Like, I was doing energy work with him, and he's helping me to integrate and work with the land, the codes that I was able to pick up. One other thing that I thought of, it reminds me of whenever I was in the Great Pyramid, in Egypt back in March. I received at the very top in the King's Chamber, I saw a seraphim come through and give me a box of memories. The seraphim told me that I would be opening this box of memories as the time was right, and remembering some very important things. That happened at the top of the Great Pyramid. Now, these codes that I was able to pick up to help dissolve the 3D matrix and activate the new, maybe 5D portal system, if you will, which I feel is connected to our Merkabas, our light bodies, our consciousness, returning Christ consciousness to the planet. And I also keep hearing, like, free energy, like it will assist with free energy for the planet and moving that along, as well as disclosure and all the other benefits and amazing things we have to look forward to in the ascension process and as we go up into the 5D. But it took me going to the top of this very high mountain in Canada, kind of at the source, near the source of where the Rockies start. And they're, like I said, they're massive up there, and it kind of trickles down into the United States. Like, it's like a power plant coming down into the US, going up to more of the source at the very top of this mountain, almost like an antenna to be able to receive these codes. I just thought of that, and I just thought that's really interesting. So it kind of takes going to some of these peaks, or some of these locations, and these high up locations specifically too, to be able to receive some of these things, or for the veil to be thin, or it's meeting the higher realms halfway. Yeah, very interesting. I also had kind of some revelations about Mount Shasta being also a method of exit and ascension for souls too. So it's like they can come in, galactics come in, and then souls can ascend out, and they use these mountains as kind of exit points or entrance points. Just really fascinating stuff. Okay, also, before we wrap it up, I've partnered with Hopewell Farms CBD. If you guys are interested in trying CBD, I take their CBD almost every night before bed to help me relax. It can help with ascension symptoms too, aches. They've got like a topical cream, and it's a family-owned, very high quality CBD. So you can get a discount on that, 10% off using code Lily10. And their link is in the video description near the bottom. Also, my book is on sale on Amazon.com. It's called Contact, if you're interested in that. I also have a Patreon channel, and we have our Sedona retreat coming up in October. So if you would like to sign up for that, we would love to have you. Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please give this video a like, and I will see you guys next time. I'll see if anything else comes up. I may post a video. before the weekend. If not, I will see you guys next time. Enjoy your Sunday. Take care.